Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining the California Department of Veterans Affairs for Emergency Preparedness. Before we begin, as a disclaimer, we'd like to bring to your attention that you are being recorded. This is being recorded. The webinar is being recorded, and by logging in, you are agreeing to be a part of the recording. This recording will be available on our website and also be available on our YouTube channel so that you can share this and you can look back on it at any point in time. We really do would like you to benefit from the information presented. My name is Jennifer Redquist, and I'm proud to say I'm a CalTAP training coordinator with the California Department of Veterans Affairs. Additionally, I'm a veteran myself, and I want to take a moment to say thank you to all the service members, veterans, spouses, children, parents, families, and friends for all that you do and all that you to support the United States military. Uniformed or not, we understand that you all have served. We want you to know that cradle to grave, Calvet and all the organizations here today truly are passionate about getting resources to you. And we want to encourage you that if you have any questions or need any type of assistance, please reach out to us. So I'm excited you joined today's presentation because it is packed with great information and resources about emergency preparedness. Presenters for today's workshop include Cal OES's Winston Lin and Calvet's San Diego Local Interagency Network Coordinator, Lance Unker. Additionally, we are joined with my teammate, Cherie Nuez. She's another CalTAP training coordinator. She will be listed in the CalTAP chat. She's also going to be in the Q&A section. She's going to be filtering out all the questions and giving them to subject matter experts. That's where we ask that you put all your questions in. At the end of the presentation, we are going to go over your questions because more than likely, if you have that question, somebody else has probably got that question too. So we want to share that with everybody and go over those questions at the end of the presentation. All right, let's start with a little bit of, before we begin, we're going to go over the CalTAP overview. It's just meant to get your feet wet and acquainted with the California benefits. We're just going to give you some numbers and resources so you know where to go with California benefits. So you've heard us say CalTAP a few times. What is CalTAP? CalTAP was designed to inform, connect veterans of all eras to their earned federal and state benefits, as well as provide continuing support and assistance as their needs change over time through 5 different pathways. We like to say that verbatim because we want you to know that we understand that your needs are going to change over time. The things you need today, you may not need tomorrow, and the same thing goes the other way around. So we want to be there for you 24/7. And a really great way we do that is give you 24 access to our online learning portal that has 5 different learning pathways: curriculum, education, employment, entrepreneurship, and service providers. All of those are for veterans and their families and service members, except for the last one. The last one is service providers. That's more of a military culture competency. It's for those service providers that work with veterans and military members. It's to help service providers give you guys what you guys need. Here is our resource book. This is fantastic. Cherie's going to put the PDF in the chat. Please download that. This thing's like gold. All of your resources going to be at your fingertips. Please share this resource book with everybody. It's all your state and your federal benefits is in this book. It's a great, fantastic resource. This is Calvet's website. It's very user-friendly. I highly recommend you go to calvet.ca.gov. You can Google just Calvet. You can Google California Department of Veterans Affairs. It's really easy. It's usually the first thing that pops up there. But anyways, everything is a click away. I've circled some really great little quick links. The first one is our phone number. Give us a call. We can help you navigate through these websites, or we can navigate you to whatever resources you need. I've also circled there the Veterans Resource Book to download it again. And then we also have circled in there, it says Calvet board, but above it, it says find local CVSO. That is a really great link. But all in all, it's very user-friendly. If you want assistance with education, it's just a click away. Just click on the education. If you want healthcare, this is a click away. Just click there. But for our modules and for the CalTAP, you're going to click on where you see that nice little laptop. Click on CalTAP there. Now it's going to open you up to all these different modules. And we have circled the core curriculum, which is a nice basic place to start. Once you click on that, it'll open up the modules. Modules are broken down, so it's easier to just navigate. We have here circled California benefits, but there's healthcare, claims and compensation, financial literacy, all sorts of things. So what are your California benefits? Again, this is just a snapshot. Please give us a call, send me an email. Cherie's going to be putting some things in the chat, copy, paste them, put them somewhere else, take a picture of it, whatever you want to do. But the first one is a college tuition fee waiver. This is fantastic. It's going to waive the tuition at any state-funded school for dependents of veterans that have a 0% to 100% rating. This is fantastic. Saves so much money. The veteran does not have to live in the state of California. Only the student. Is fantastic. Please give us a call if you want to learn more about that. The veteran's designation on your license, you could get your the word veteran put on your driver's license. It's great because you no longer have to carry that DD form 214 to prove you're a veteran. So when you're getting that discount at Lowe's or maybe at the movie theater, wherever you're going, you can show your ID and prove that you're a veteran. The next thing is motor vehicle registration fee waiver. You can get one of your vehicles can get your registration fees waived if you are a veteran with a mobility issue and you are rated at 100% from the VA. It's fantastic. If that applies to you, please, we encourage you, go to your local county veteran service office and have them help you fill out the paperwork to take to your DMV. Next benefits are fishing and hunting license and the no cost of state park pass. You can, both of those are for those veterans that are 50% rated. For the parks pass, it's parks.ca.gov. For fishing and hunting, it's wildlife.ca.gov. Disabled veteran property tax exemption. This is fantastic. If you're a 100% rated veteran and you own a home, you can have up to $150,000 of your property tax exempt. What you do is you take your letter from the VA that says you're 100% permanent and total. You take that to your county assessor's office. That's where you pay your property taxes. They're going to file that for you, and every year you're going to get $150,000 exempt from your property taxes. So that means if your house is worth $500,000, well, being assessed at $500,000, they will now assess you at $350,000. So you'll save about $1,700 a year. It's a great savings. The next thing is business license tax and fee exemptions. Always ask when you're opening up a business, when you're paying those taxes and fees, ask them, hey, is there any type of discount for veterans or for disabled veterans, and show them the proof of that and see what you can get discounts on or the fee exemptions on those. Now at CalVet, we have a lot of different divisions. The first division is the Veteran Services Division. That's our outreach division. That's a division that CalTAP is part of, and also our local interagency network coordinators. It's all those outreach members. The next division is our home loans division. They originate, process, close for the life of the loan. CalVet Homes is going to take care of your home loan. We are not commission-based whatsoever. We just want to get California veterans into homes. It's a fantastic program. We also have the women's division, and we have minorities and underrepresented division. Both those divisions are information, advocacy, and outreach for those demographics. Next is homes for long-term care. We have 8 different homes in the state of California that we service. They're fantastic long-term facilities. They're income-based and based on level of care and income base. So no one is going to go bankrupt, making sure that their loved one is taken well care of. We also service 3 different cemeteries in the state of California. Fantastic. One is northern, one is in the middle, and one is in Southern California. So I gave you quite a bit of information, but I want to get in the meat and potatoes of this emergency preparedness workshop. And so we want you to know that we want to be there for you. So we want you to reach out to us so we can touch bases with you periodically. So send your non-DoD email to caltap@calvet.ca.gov, and we will send you out a newsletter once a month. We will not spam you whatsoever. You can You can follow us on our social medias right here. I highly recommend go to our YouTube channel. We have lots of really great webinars and workshops on there. And then attend more webinars and then fill out today's survey. We use our surveys every single day to improve our webinars. So please let us know how we're doing. Let us know we're doing something great. Let us know if there's something we could do better on. Let us know if there's something we haven't covered yet that you think that we should cover. We definitely take those all into consideration, and we actually do apply those. So here is the newsletter. I'm so sorry, my brain just stopped right there for a minute. This is a newsletter. The newsletter will go talk about the upcoming, the theme for the month, and also the upcoming webinars, and then different news and different benefits that are open, that are happening throughout the state. Really great stuff on this. You'll just get one newsletter per month. It is fantastic. This is va.gov. It is really great as a hub for all your federal benefits. It's a great place to go to get information. You can use that search bar. A lot of great information on there. Sorry, my fingers just moved. All right, here's my information. Please email me. We can go step by step through any and all the benefits together. And I want to bring to your attention the 988 number at the bottom. The 988 number is the crisis line. The 988 number is open to anybody that is in any type of crisis. I hope that it's just as synonymous as 911. If somebody's in trouble, you know where to call. If you press 1, that is for veterans, but if you just 988 is for anybody who is in crisis. And again, those are our social medias. All right, now I'm going to switch the floor. I'm going to hand the floor over to Winston. He is the Cal OES's Planning and Preparedness Division, and he's going to go over disaster preparedness. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
All right. So good morning. My name is Winston Lin. I'm with the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services, and I will be presenting on personal disaster preparedness. So first, for the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services, or CalOES, what we are is we're a state-level department that serves as a coordination hub for major emergencies and disasters for the state of California. We primarily support the local governments, who are often the first able to respond to community emergencies, and we act as the interface point for the U.S. government to provide federal assistance and resources to California. Part of CalOES's mission is to protect lives and property, build capabilities, and support our communities for a resilient California. Next, please. So for my presentation, I'm going to be talking about some of the risks and hazards that exist in the state of California. I'm going to go over some different elements so that you can personally prepare yourself for disasters. We're going to talk a little bit about property preparedness, and then I'll have additional links and resources at the end for volunteering and some of the information, where you can find some of the information that I'm presenting in the slides. Next, please. So first, it's important to know what kind of risks you have in the area that you live in or work. This could include natural or human-caused hazards. The best resource for you to figure out what kind of local hazards you have is to go to your city or county Office of Emergency Services and see if you can find information about local hazard mitigation, and information about any kind of upcoming threats or issues that might be occurring. For example, this weekend, we're going to have a lot of extreme heat throughout the state. So I'm sure if you went to your city or county Office of Emergency website, you're going to see a lot of information on extreme heat. For CalOES, very generally, we have the My Hazards tool, which is a map that you can put your address into, and you can see what kind of hazards the state is tracking in that area, so you can get a better idea of what to prepare for. At the federal level, for FEMA, they have a flood check map, so you can input your address and you can look to see where there are a flood zone, whether or not you're in a flood zone. Next, please. So some of the major hazards that we have in California, some of our top ones tend to be wildfires, floods, and earthquakes. Along the coastal areas, there's vulnerabilities to tsunamis. California does actually have volcanoes. We do occasionally also get tornadoes. And of course, we're vulnerable to public safety power shutoffs and other types of power outages. Next. And over the last 6 years, here's a list of some of the disasters that made it up to the state level in terms of Cal OES doing response and recovery work. As you can see, most of it is fires. We get an occasional earthquake. We also get winter storms and storms, which can cause flooding. But you can also see here some man-made hazards that have occurred, such as civil unrest and public safety power shutoffs, so a type of power outage. Next. So in terms of personal preparedness, the state maintains Listos, California, which has a lot of personal preparedness information, guides, toolkits, graphics, in various different languages. So I always encourage people, if they're interested in preparing themselves for disasters, one of the places I can get a lot of information from is Listos, California. The QR code you can see is to the right. On Listos, California, the website will give you information on how to make a plan to protect yourself and your loved ones. Information on how to pack a go kit with essentials in case you have to evacuate. And also information on how to build a stay box when you have to shelter in place. Listos also encourages you to check up on your neighbors who may be vulnerable to certain disasters. Next. In terms of alert and warnings, the calalerts.org website has links to each county's wireless emergency alert. The QR code is to the right. We encourage you to sign up to receive emergency alerts for the county that you live in, at the very least. That way, if you have an emergency that occurs in the county, you'll be notified directly by your county. Another app that we recommend people download, because earthquake is one of the major hazards for the state of California, is the MyShake app, which is done with a collaboration between Cal OES's earthquake warning unit and UC Berkeley. Next. So in terms of alert and warnings, it's important to understand the difference between what an evacuation warning is and what an evacuation order is. And so if you receive a notification from your county or your city about evacuations, an evacuation warning talks about impending danger to your life or property. When you receive an evacuation warning, you should assume an evacuation order will probably follow afterwards. When you receive the evacuation warning, you should start gathering important items for your family and your pets. Any individuals who need extra time to evacuate, or anyone with large animals, should pack up and leave when a warning is issued. Higher up than that is the evacuation order, which is a lawful order to evacuate due to an immediate threat to life and property. For evacuation orders, it's critical to follow all the directions from law enforcement to ensure you and your family evacuate safely. I always advise that you check with your city and county Office of Emergency Services if you want more information about your any evacuation warnings and orders that you receive. And the mantra always for evacuations is don't wait to evacuate. Next. Oh, thank you. So if you go to Listos, California, one of the things that the information will teach you to do is how to make a plan. An important part of making the plan is having a communications plan. So this should include contact information for people that are in and outside the evacuation or shelter in place area. You're going to want to gather and organize your supplies. It's important to designate at least 2 meeting places in case you or your family become separated during a disaster. One immediately outside the home for immediate danger, and then others that are and another location that's farther away outside the evacuation area. If you have to evacuate, it's important for you to identify multiple routes to evacuate from your community, to check with your local emergency manager or emergency alerts to get up-to-date road information. And when you evacuate and make plans, don't forget to include your pets in the planning process. In terms of documents to prepare, it's important to have those documents stored in fire and water resistant storage containers or stored online in a secure cloud storage service. With regards to photographs, it's recommended that you have recent photographs of you and your family members so that you can assist responders in locating loved ones in case you become separated. The other reason for taking photographs is to have pictures of your property and valuables to help with insurance claims in case anything becomes damaged or destroyed. Regarding personal records, it's important to have copies of your personally identifiable information, such as driver's licenses, discharge paperwork, passports, social security information, titles and deeds, auto and boat registrations. And finally, it's also important to have copies of financial records, so insurance policies, tax information, pay stubs, wills, any trust or financial and medical powers of attorney. Next. So here's a list of just some of the basic supplies that's generally recommended that you have on hand and be prepared to have with you or in your home. First is water. The recommended amount is 1 person per gallon, or sorry, 1 gallon per person per day for at least 3 days. Food is also recommended for you to have at least a 3-day supply. Another thing that's important to have is if you have any prescription medication, glasses, copies of prescriptions, it's important to have that as well. Because power loss can sometimes occur in disasters, it's important for your cell phones and your other methods of communications for you to either have backup chargers or batteries. Other items that can be important are having personal hygiene products, garbage bags, plastic ties for personal sanitation, wrenches or pliers to turn off your utilities, paper maps so that you can navigate around in case you have to evacuate and you may not be able to look anything up online. And also cash, because there's a possibility that electronic payment systems may not work and you may still have to pay for things. Next. In terms of property preparedness, it's important to check and update your homeowners and property insurance. If you live in a fire-prone area, there's things that you can do to create defensible space to protect your property from fire. Listo's California Resource Hub has a wildfire preparedness toolkit. CAL FIRE also has Ready for Wildfire, which offers preparedness tips. And if you live in a tsunami or flood-prone area, do a survey around where you are and figure out where would your high ground be? Where would you be evacuating to if you were threatened by a tsunami or flood? Next. So here's a little bit more detail about how to create defensible space around your home to protect it from fire. So some of the examples are keeping your gutters and roof clean of leaves and debris, maintaining 5 feet of non-combustible, a 5-foot non-combustible zone around your home or deck, mowing your grass to make sure that it's at most a height of 4 inches. And then during wildfires, trying to keep burnables such as patio furniture, gas tanks, at least 30 feet away from your structure. And if you need more information, you have local fire safe councils that you can look up. In terms of around the home, it's important to install and maintain smoke and carbon monoxide detectors at every level of your home. Like I said, because California has high earthquake risk, it's important to brace and earthquake-proof your tall furniture to avoid things tipping. You should check that your fire extinguishers are serviceable. And if you're in a location that's prone to power outages, consider purchasing backup power. This could be generators, it could be additional batteries, things like that. And finally, know where your utility shutoffs are and how to turn them off. Next. So with regards to family preparedness, Cal OES has the Preparedness Ambassador Program. It's a curriculum that's designed to engage 4th grade students to develop and promote disaster preparedness guidelines for their home, school, and local community. Cal OES also has the Family Readiness Guide to help families prepare for disasters in California, which is available also in multiple languages. Next. Here's some opportunities to try to volunteer to help other people out in disasters. For example, there's the Red Cross, there's community emergency response teams, AmeriCorps, which has programs both locally and nationally, California Volunteers, which keeps track of a lot of volunteer opportunities that exist in the state of California. And of course, there's the California State Guard, who are often also active in disasters that occur in the state of California. Here are some of the useful links that I've mentioned throughout the presentation. First on that list, Listo's California to get all your basic personal preparedness information. all the questions and the links for your, all the information you need on wireless emergency alerts. You can go to calalerts.org. With regards to wildland fire preparedness, there's CAL FIRE's readyforwildfire.org and California Fire Safe Council's also their webpage. And there is the MyShake app, which is the earthquake alert app that you can download on your smartphone. FEMA also has federal level guidance on individual disaster preparedness. And then finally, it's the link to the Cal OES My Hazards map, where you can put in your address and look to see what your local hazards are. And that is it for me. Again, that QR code on your right is Listos, California, and that's for your personal disaster preparedness.
Thank you so much, Winston. Wow, that was a lot of great information. You really did cover. There's quite a few different types of disasters that come in California. We are so diverse in different types of landscapes. So we really appreciate you covering all those different resources and different ways to prepare for anything and everything. So thank you so much for being with us today. All right, with that, I'm going to hand the floor over to Lance. Lance Unker is our San Diego Local Interagency Network Coordinator, and he's going to talk about what he does and the local assistance centers.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about myself and the position that I hold here at Calvet and how that might be useful and beneficial to you all. So next slide is going to show you the link map and the link regions, and there's 8 of us. So no matter where you live in California, you'll have a designated link who understands that region and lives in that region, and gets to know basically everyone in the veteran and military space there. So a huge resource for you, and almost all of us, including myself, are veterans. I was in the Army back in 2007 during the surge. I was wounded in the line of duty, and was medically retired after spending about 10 months recovering in the hospital. So I kind of went through that whole journey of transitioning out of the military and learning what my benefits were and all that kind of stuff. And honestly, a link. I used to live in San Luis Obispo, so Calvin Angel has been the link there for over 10 years, and he was able to kind of give me a lot of help, point me in the right directions, and all that. So it's kind of a really cool full circle thing that I'm down here now in San Diego as a link as well. Next slide will show you some of the ways that we can help. We provide a lot of outreach to service members, veterans, and their families. Down here in San Diego, there's 8 military installations, and we hold CalTAP programs at all of those, which is a transition assistance program. And we do our outreach and help with that transition, whether it's retirement, medical, or just getting out. And a huge part of our job is just making referrals. We work with the county, we work with other state and federal organizations like the VA, and we get to know all of the nonprofits and everything's like in San Diego. There's over 700 veteran nonprofits that assist veterans and their families and active duty in all kinds of things. And so, having a link as a contact in your phone is a great way to learn about, hey, I have an issue with this. I'll call my link, and maybe he knows of an organization that can assist with that. The other thing, and what's kind of tying it into this webinar, is we assist with local emergencies. So anytime there is a local assistance center set up in a county after a fire or flood, or anytime the FEMA, federal FEMA disaster recovery centers are set up in our regions, a link is at those centers and providing, assistance there. Next slide. So let's talk about those local assistance centers. So anytime, like I said, there's a fire or flood and there are people who are displaced, evacuated, or unfortunately lose their home, these local assistance centers will be set up. And they're basically a one-stop shop. So they're going to have lots of local nonprofits and state agencies and federal government resources and agencies for those residents who've been impacted. And you can start, all of the paperwork for, whether it's FEMA or county, to get those funds and assistance that you're desperately going to be in need of in those unfortunate times. Yeah, and they're usually set up at like community centers, whether that's, in town or at a high school, something like that. And I think the next slide is going to tell you how you might be able to find those in that event. Or here's some more ways of services that are provided. So whether, you've lost records, the DMV is always there. So if you lost, registration, anything that has to do with your vehicle or your license or whatever you may have lost, DMV is there to do services right on site. We also have veteran healthcare access, and then the Calvet home loan. So if you by chance have a Calvet home loan, we can help assist start the whole process with the insurance, which is only a $250 deductible. If you have that Calvet insurance that comes with a Calvet home loan, they can do an entire, rebuild just with that $250 deductible. So we can start that process right there. There's also housing and social services, grief counseling, all kinds of stuff. So a good way to find an LAC in your area if you've been evacuated is to visit Calvet or fire.ca.gov, or news.caloes.ca.gov, or you can call 211 or visit 211.org in your area. And they will provide you the location of the LAC in that region. Next slide. This is how you're going to find it on our website. So if you go to calvet.ca.gov, you can go up right to the alerts. And once you click that, it will be a drop down and you can click on, the wildfire or whatever it is. It'll take you to this page. It actually lists, where the local assistance center is set up. There's information from CAL FIRE, Air Now, and then you're going to have all the contact information for each link and their cell phones. So whatever region that is in or where you live, you can contact your link to get even more assistance. And then all kinds of other resources there. Next slide. And then this is the news.caloes.ca.gov website. So you're familiar with that. They all have, fire updates and local assistance center locations, all of that as well. It looks like they have a Twitter as well. You can follow along. And then there's also the vet centers assistance. So vet centers are an amazing resource for veterans and their spouses. They're all across the country and they provide a broad range of counseling and referral services. They are under the VA umbrella. However, they do not share any of the information with VA. So if you wanted to keep that without your permission, so if you wanted to keep that confidential, that you're seeking therapy and counseling and that kind of stuff from a vet center, then it's completely confidential and will not cross over. And they have these vans, these big, huge trucks. And usually they come out to the LACs as well, and they will have a certified a counselor there as well to assist and provide other resources. And then there's the vet center phone number there that's available 24/7 as well. Okay, something that is really important is records recovery. So a lot of times, people lose very important documentation, which can often include your DD-214. So if you did not make digital copies or your digital copies were burned up because they're on your computer in your house, there are a few ways to get a copy of your DD-214. the number one way, especially for older veterans who left the military quite a long time ago, is going to be through the National Archives. This takes a very, very long time. There's 2 phone numbers there for you, that you can use. Again, we're going to have this information at a local assistance center, but unfortunately, it does take a long time. It's kind of a tedious process with National Archives. It's actually very quick to fill it all out online and everything. It just takes them forever to get it back. So make multiple copies of that DD-214, multiple different maybe places to keep it. There are some ways you can get it on through the VA if they have it on file. So it's something that you might be able to do is get your DD-214 on your vet records at the VA. That way that can happen. CVSO, your county veteran service office, might be able to keep one on record for you as well. So that's that. All right, so this is my personal contact information, lance.yunker, IUNKER @calvet.ca.gov, or just sdlink@calvet.ca.gov. On the link map, wherever you live, there's OC link or LA link, or North Valley. So, you can get to any of the links in your area. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lance. We really, really appreciate all that information, all those resources. It's so great to know that there's a place that everybody can go to for help when something so bad happens. They know where they can go, for resources, and know where to turn, and know that there's a place where all these different entities are there to help. So we really appreciate everything that you do, and all the different state entities that are there. So thank you so much. All right, so that is the end of all of our presentations. Right here we have up everybody's contact information. I got Sean's information out there. I just realized that instead of Cherie. Sorry, Cherie. But Cherie, do we have any questions?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, we had a couple questions in the chat. I answered a few. Most people were looking for, in particular, the links that were mentioned in the presentation. I will be dropping that shortly after we get through everything. However, I did notice, and kind of just like a good thing to just go over, I noticed Winston did answer it, but somebody asked about, is it advised to have another copy of your DD-214 in your go bag, even if you have the veteran designation on your driver's license. And I'm just going to share a little bit what Winston said, and I don't know if Lance, if you want to chime in based on your experience with the LACs, but Winston did suggest, redundancy across the board for coverage. So you at least have those documents on hand. So if you were to lose your driver's license in that emergency, at least you do have the form on hand. But again, you always do have the LAC to assist you in the event that you lose any kind of documentation. But if you do have another hard copy on you, it doesn't hurt to have on your go bag, so long as it's in a secure and accessible place for you. The only other question I see that's open is somebody had requested records over a year ago and still has not received any status. How can they follow up the request and get a response?
I would recommend them going to the county veteran service office and seeing if they can request it through them. It's possible if they did a claim that that their information might be at the county veteran service office, or the county veteran service office might be able to look through different channels to get that DD form 214, or they can call that archives phone number in there, or go to archives.gov, and there is a phone number on archives.gov. It says for requests and things like that to call, or you can just request again.
Thank you.
And Lance, I think Lance has something to say too.
ahead.
I was just gonna add on the nationalarchives.com webpage, they actually have kind of this drop down on the requesting a DD-214 where there are a couple cases where they'll expedite the process. you have to fax the request in to a specific phone number. It has to do with like medical kind of emergencies or homelessness kind of stuff. But you can, I've had a couple that have had a lot of trouble, but then using that fax, and there's no like proof necessarily that you need to have to show one of those three conditions, but by requesting it through that fax number, that might be a quicker way. But yeah, CVSO is a great place as well.
We did have another question come in. Phone and digital systems may not be viable in certain emergencies, which is true. What's the alternative backup plan in that case?
That would be a Winston question.
It would. Are you talking about redundancy to like pull data, or are you talking about redundancy in terms of how would you try to reach certain people, emergency services, family members? Because it would be. I mean, I'm trying to narrow down what the ask is on that question.
For sure. If we can get some clarification. Oh, solve. To solve for no comms, I'm assuming if you're are you trying to reach loved ones or emergency services if in the event that there is no communication available? Thank you, Joseph, for the question, by the way. I can see you answering or adding in there.
I know. So, for example, texts I've heard in other disasters tend to go through more easily than trying to make a phone call. So I've heard if you can't make a phone call, you're trying to reach your loved ones. You could try to send a text. It's a smaller packet of information. I've also heard if you call someone outside of an area that an emergency is occurring, that it's easier for the systems to make a connection with someone outside the area rather than if you're in an evacuation area, everyone's trying to call each other. There could be difficulty trying to connect up those emergency communications. Trying to think of other contingencies. I'm not an expert on emergency communication systems. There's just some things that I've read before about trying to communicate. That's all I can think of kind of off the top of my head. Sorry.
I feel like meeting at one of those LACs or meeting at one of those like meeting areas would be a great idea too, if you're not able to communicate with people,
That's exactly what the person just put.
Oh.
Yeah. Your rally points are either going to be pre-designated by your like within your household or your family. Other than that, if your county or city has opened a evacuation location or shelter, that's something you might be able to find online and then go to your nearest one. You could set up some protocols so that you can have that kind of be the default in case it's someone's at work or someone's at school or someone's at home and you have to rally somewhere.
Thank you. And the person just said, appreciate you folks and we hope never have to use those systems, but it is also good to be prepared. Hence we have today's webinar. There was another question that came in for you, Winston. I know that you're not necessarily within the communications department, but somebody had asked about, can you briefly touch on communication system for police and fire? Says something along, I've heard the state has contracted with AT&T after a lengthy struggle to unify university comms to no avail, but I don't know if there needs to be a little bit more clarification on if you're seeking to, if you're asking on how to get in touch with emergency services, if you want to provide a little bit more clarification on your question there, so we can best answer that. And then somebody I know was requesting Winston's contact info. However, I know that he had provided more of like the resources for Cal OES. And I believe you had mentioned, is it Listos is the, thank you, Jen, for heading back up that way. As far as like a great way to get contact with specific heads or areas. And thank you, Jen, for pulling it back up here for everybody.
With regards to the question on police and fire communications, I don't work in the communications part of CalOES, and I don't really know that much about the AT&T 911 integration. Other than that, I know that that's something the state is working on. I don't have any details about that. Sorry.
Do you have a phone number that somebody can call if they are disabled and they need assistance quickly moving in a disaster situation?
This is directed to me.
Yes.
Generally speaking, we try to recommend people reach out to any kind of local social services or nonprofits that exist within their city or county. The reason I mentioned that is traditionally for emergencies, we tend to rely on local jurisdictions, local agencies, local nonprofits, because the state is so large. We're not everywhere. We are not really the first responders. The first responders are your community members, your local police, local fire. If you have a nonprofit group that does paratransit, it could be your local metro or bus agency or department, local transportation department that does it. So it's going to be very particular to where you live, what resources you have access to, who you would reach out to. As much as at the state level, we would like to help everyone. You know, if you're in Southern California and you're waiting for state resources in Northern California to come help you, we're not the first on scene.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. We had somebody that actually asked for assistance in training and employment, but we don't have any of those listed currently, but I do know that Winston was great in providing a going above and beyond slide. Jen, if you want to go back one slide, this is actually some great resources for everyone for volunteer opportunities, and perhaps they do have some training programs that are available. I would suggest the person that asked that question refer to any one of these organizations for that. I think that would be a great opportunity for you to connect with them and see what kind of training programs are available specific to emergency response. There was follow-up, Winston, in regards to the emergency response and AT&T question. The person was looking for an index on emergency, police, fire, comms, frequencies. I don't know if you have that available. I don't think so, because you work not in the communications department, but maybe perhaps a follow-up question that we can look a little bit into later on. I don't
have that information on emergency comms frequencies. I also don't think they would necessarily be publicly available for security and public safety reasons.
Understood. I just want to go ahead and say I already dropped into the chat the slide deck for today, because I know a lot of people were looking for the particular links that were provided for a lot of the great information from CalOES. Thank you again, Winston, and also thank you, Lance and Jen, to all the information y'all shared for emergency services and being prepared. I already have it here in the chat, so if you would like, you can download it now, but you can always keep in touch with us via email, caltap@calvet.ca.gov, listed there on the top there. If you want any additional questions or need information, we're welcome to help you out there.
Thank you so much, Sheree.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Jen, because right now we do not have any more questions.
Thank you so much, Sheree. And I want to say thank you so much to Lance for being here and presenting, and also Winston. What a fantastic workshop. We learned so much. Really, really great resources. This, like I said earlier on in this workshop, we are recording this. So please go to our YouTube channel and share this workshop with as many people as possible. Refer back to it as much as possible. And please tell other people about us. Thank you so much for being here today, and have a fantastic day, everyone. Bye-bye.